Alright, welcome to episode 10. This is episode 10. Oh my god, we've got cool stuff happening in episode 10 of What If Civilization Started Over. I can't say that quickly. Anyway, in the last episode we had a pretty big war. We had the Southern Italians and the Carthaginians both fighting the Romans, and then the Carthaginians also fought the Italians. Either way, the Romans overall won, because look at this empire. It's like a very big North Mediterranean thing. It looks really cool. I really like it, especially this bit. I don't know, this bit looks pretty nice. France also got some land as well as expanding up here. We had a union between the Polish and the two Ukrainian countries. Apart from that, more expansion down here in Central Asia. Africa, there's a war between Sudan and Egypt. That's about it. So today, there's a few small things I want to do, and then a very big thing I want to do. I bet you can't guess off of the thumbnail what it is. But yeah, let's do some of the small things first. Actually, let's do a pretty big thing actually first, because finally, after a long time of being allied nations, the blue team will be uniting with the orange and purple teams. Yeah, sorry if you can't really tell the difference between this color. I mean, I can make it. Do you want to make it a bit darker? Okay, do that. Why did I colour in so many islands? Anyway, it doesn't really matter that I'm coloring in islands at the moment. Yeah, that's kind of slightly easier. Either way, I don't know. I don't like that blue. Yeah, I'm sorry. Anyway, we're changing it back. I don't know. Okay. Now the Polish country with multiple capital cities, kind of in a way, across their country. They're going to enter a very federalized sort of state. Now, the unitary and federational countries in the world, I don't know how that works, what the difference is really. If someone could tell me, that'll be good. I don't know if you can. Anyway, yeah, they're very federational, as in lots of areas have extreme autonomy, and lots of people have like a big bit of control over what happens in their area. So it's less controlled by the central government, which is in like Warsaw or Krakow. What else is there in Poland other than Gdansk, which is Danzig but with a different name, which is cool. It's like Izmir in Turkey is actually Smyrna, which is another pretty cool city. Anyway, yeah, so they're quite federated now, meaning lots of people have more autonomy, and they're kind of going more into an aristocracy. So I guess you could make them an aristocracy at the moment. That's not right. They're an ideology. Yeah, well done. They're a monarchy. I guess we also can remove these guys. They're not. Well, technically they are, because they're very autonomous kingdoms within this sort of unitary state. And yeah, what did I just do? Oh, I see what I just did. I got rid of the bit beneath it. If you're Caucasian, you should be very afraid at this point. Sorry, I mean this introduction bit's taking a while. You might be thinking, oh yeah, Rome should be really afraid. Well, the thing is, at the moment, Poland and Rome both have different ideas. Rome has rivalry with another country we're going to discuss later. Oh my god. Later on, whilst the Polish don't like Caucasia, but also they don't really hate the Romans all that much. They haven't interacted too much. The Romans gave them some territory, even like over here. You know, they're kind of friendly, but now that Poland has become more of a threat, and Rome's kind of run out of spaces to expand into, other than like France, who you kind of made an alliance with, or Switzerland, who's not really worth it. You've got a peace treaty with the Tunisians, Carthaginians, whoever. There's not that many places for them to expand, and it's pretty rural, a lot of it, and you could definitely buy some like petty kings and get them to join your side, because I don't know, there's always people who want to do that. So yeah, ideologies around the world as well, I guess. Lots of councils around here, so that's interesting. Going back to this area then, I guess we take off this layer. We've kind of done all the stuff we need to do for Poland for a while. I might expand them a bit, but I don't think we really need to. Actually, I might. Like this Norwegian coast. I don't want to expand too quickly. I have to find a good balance between things like this, of them expanding very quickly and also them expanding not enough. Like with Asia and things, it's tricky. Anyway, the Norwegians' territory will be discovered, so that's cool. We might go up here a little bit. And let's head over to France, because France is doing some expansion. Last time they expanded to it is Waterford. I was right. I think so. They're going to be going further than like Hull. I was going to say Lincoln, which is actually where the Romans got to. Then they stopped and went to York. So this time they're actually going to get past York and up kind of the border of Scotland, where it kind of stops being as good. But some Scottish territory is quite nice. I mean, Scotland is a nice place. It's just like the Romans in real life. They just like me. It doesn't provide the same benefits, but I mean, they wanted wool and farming stuff. Anyway, they expanded to Ireland. Yeah, there's lots of sheep in Scotland. I don't know. They just lots of aggressive tribes in Scotland as well. And they're also going to arrive in Ulster, send them over to Galloway around here, and they've kind of got the entire Irish Sea under their control. Pretty cool from the French colonizing Britain. Interesting. You're not going to do anything. Africa's not really doing anything. You probably should. Like, you should be afraid, Green Country. The Orange Team or the Romans. Red Team might take them out. Destroy. Heading over to this Greenish Country. I mean, how many major cities do they have? Did I give them like? Yeah, you're really rich. Look at the Red Team. Oh no, poor guy. Anyway, they might become more important. You know, I feel like there's probably going to be a Silk Road in this series, and you're going to be right in the middle of it. So that'll be nice. I'm also apparently in Chad now. So let's send them over. I mean, I kind of made them hemmed in by lakes, which I kind of like, and I also kind of don't. Either way, they're going to go around to some more lakes. Just head up here, around to this point. That's probably a lake. And let's also send them down here in a very sort of Caspian-esque thing. You know, like how the Caspian country has that long bit, but it's around the Caspian, not this sea. I keep wanting to say Aral Sea, but it's not. That's the Aral Sea over there. So they're more boxy and also quite elephanty. Like 4 legs, trunk, I don't know. Looks like a bit like an elephant. Down to Southeast Asia. I don't want to expand through this too quickly. However, like I don't think I'm going to go far into Malaysia anytime soon. But this bit's kind of fine because we need to discover more of China. Because they definitely had discovered that by, what time did I say it was? Oh yeah, I guess I also changed the top 10 a lot, if you're interested in that. I guess we're gonna skip what we're doing here. It's 150 BCE, I don't know, is it CE or BCE? Who knows? It's the red team, who's the first, it's the Romans, the Polish, the Persians, only just though. The Persians are really kind of slipping behind a bit. Then it's India, Car is just Carthage, Caucasia, France, and then the Bengali country. I know this border it's annoyingly the similar color. It's irritating. Oh well. It will probably change sometime soon. Don't worry about that. It'll be fine. Anyway, let's go back over to southern China, I guess. Bam. So the greenish country will be taking some land here in the south just to connect up properly with the pink sort of North Vietnam country. And they're also going to expand just generally round into the more central areas of this area. Wow. That's incredible language. Heading over here, I think another group, probably more groups need to split off, if I'm honest. We don't have enough orange on this map, so I'm going to add more of that. So add this bit kind of parallel, or whatever, to that's not, that's Taiwan. There we go. I was going to say parallel to parallel, but oh well. So it's orangish countries around here, but give them a capital in a second, don't worry, but I'm going to add more countries. There we go, you can also get that bit. Going further inland then, let's add a bluish sort of country around these lakes, which is probably at one of the rivers. I don't know which one. Is this the Yangtze? Is that bit? I don't know. There's 3 major ones. There's the Yellow, the Yangtze, and the Pearl. Those are the three major rivers in China. I don't know which one's which though. So, oh well. I guess another greenish country wouldn't hurt too much, as we'll add this one kind of around this. Is it Shanghai? I think this is where Shanghai is, so we'll put it there. As for capital cities, probably going to be on the coast, except for the blue team, who's just going to put it in the middle, I assume. Bam, bam, and there we go. Cool. Alright, so there's China, updated a bit. Brown country is going to go to Australia. No. Yeah, I think we've kind of covered all the events until our major bit of today's episode, which is the war with the red team. So the Romans, they feel there's only really one thing standing in their way, and it's the red team. Economic growth has been kind of crazy for the Romans at this point. They've got really far ahead. Just lots of things. I mean, yeah, think of all the things the Romans discovered in our timeline, and just link that to the Romans. So they're doing this sort of stuff, but in this. They formed their own religion, which I doubt I spread further, but I probably should have. Seeing as, yeah, you definitely got more of a hold of like France. I don't want to change it here, but like Turkey's definitely become more Turkish. France is going to become more of this Roman sort of religion, along with Italy and possibly parts of Iberia, because they weren't too pro-Italian, but kind of. Meh. What was I saying? Red team, yeah, they're still really strong. They're the strongest in the world, but the Romans have become very industrialized to this period, but it's not industrialized. It's just kind of advanced technologically. So in this war, they get a really good early start on the Romans. Red team, come on, man, you can do this. There's quite a few major cities around here because trade route stuff, and quite quickly they're going to be able to push out and take this one. They also make a spearhead for this city, and they make another bit to capture this one. So there you go. That was the first early stages of the war. However, from there, the red team's going to try and defend. However, they just kind of launch invasion across their border. The red team is going to pull in some troops now from around their massive empire. Their only real fear is that literally everyone they border doesn't like them, except for you guys that just don't actually border you. So that's a shame. That looks cool in red. Anyway, the red team isn't quite defending. If we look at trade routes, you can see there's quite a lot here, and people are pretty annoyed that there's wars going on. I'm actually going to try and encourage the end of the war because it's disrupting trade. However, the Romans say, no, I don't care. I'll make better trade routes when I own this area. So that kind of stops the red team being able to defend this stuff because, like, I can't put troops on here because of other people, and you can because you're at war with me. Anyway, it's meh. Blah. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, they're trying to encircle these cities. However, it's not going to be that easy, as the red team will make a slight sort of push to try and encircle this bit. However, it doesn't really work, and in the end, they're just going to hit right back, taking up this territory and also this bit over here. So it's made it more of an expanded front line, which is good. However, it's not that strong. You know, it's just meh. They get close to their city down here in the south, which might have been the capital of the Blue Country. However, I don't think it was. Cyprus isn't worth invading for them. Like, meh, I'll just leave that. And the Romans really want to get somebody else to join this war. Sorry, my vision's gone like, oh my god, you looked red for too long. What? And luckily they will find a new ally. It's of course going to be Caucasia. They fought the Romans before and took minimal territories from them. But they're going to do it again. Yeah. So Caucasia isn't very strong. They didn't gain any cities last time they went to the war with the red team. However, this time they're right on the border with them, so they take this one in northern Azerbaijan. There's some mountains around here, however they just invade the mountains except for this city, which is actually defended because it's on their northern frontier. And they also push really close to taking this city. However, they don't quite because they're weak. Caukasia's not that weak, they're just weak compared to all their rivals. Like, actually no, they are stronger than Central Asia, aren't they? Oh my god. Central Asia. Yes, they are. They're one space ahead of them. However, countries like Carthage, India, all those other guys are more powerful than them, which is kind of depressing. Anyway, Caucasia, yeah, you've fallen so far, mate. In the end, they do take this city, and it kind of looks like the Romans and the Caucasians are going to split this northern Black Sea coast, which is exactly what they're planning. As the Caucasians barrel towards this point, the red team's going to hold a defensive front down here in these cities, because the red team's not going to invest any more troops in this area, and they can't really break through the other front lines, and the red team loses all access to the Black Sea, which doesn't hurt too much because they weren't really trading with that many people there. They can't trade with already. It's just Polish trade they can't get now, but Poland wasn't really trading with them anyway because it was an active war zone. So, meh. Things like that, I guess. The red team's now going to have a breakthrough as morale goes down on the Mesopotamian country's side. However, they've got a plan. Why don't you invite the blue country into this war? And which blue country? The Central Asia one. They've got claims on this sort of northern stuff, and they hope this would distract the Caucasians away. However, they're going to wait a bit. Yeah, not very convenient. How the Central Asian military is really not that good. They're quite a large country, and you might think, looking at the map, wow, this guy's going to be one of the strongest countries. No, they're really not. They're actually quite weak compared to other powers at this time, and yeah, they're also kind of federal. I mean, everyone's pretty autonomous and federational. Like, if these guys collapsed, they would collapse into so many small countries. It would be kind of funny. And the Caucasians, well, sending their entire populace at this bit, they want to gain as much, not populace, but military, gain as much land as they can before the Central Asians join the war, because they know that they're coming, and they don't really want to fight that. The red team will offer to try and protect them. They don't really mind the Caucasians or Central Asians that much, and they're going to try and secure them with stuff they need, like food and weapons, military stuff. So that's pretty good. However, it's not really going to save them all that much. They're still going to struggle in the red team's front line. However, they are just helping to take land and lower morale, as northern barons up here in sort of Caucasian, Iraq, Iran area, Turkey, start to just fall away and join the Caucasian side because lots of them have ancestry of Caucasia and there's not that many people living here, and joining Caucasia offers them a better life. So that's cool. The red team, they've got two countries helping them fight. Red team and Rome. They take these cities down here in this bluish area, although the military victories haven't been great. They're going to invade Cyprus though, and that cheers them up a bit. However, finally these Central Asians have been able to muster their forces, and they would join the war. I mean, on paper, they are weaker than the Caucasians. However, the Caucasians weren't really prepared because they just kind of hoped that if they didn't prepare for the Central Asians, they would just go away. Unfortunately, that didn't work, and the Central Asians have now invaded. They've taken one major city. However, over in the south, people from this city kind of were actually prepared, which is crazy. What did I do? I don't know. And they start their invasion into the Central Asian country, but they don't get that far. They don't take this city. It's just a bit of a standstill at this point. The Central Asians will also push over to this city, and now it's not really going great if you're Caucasian. They could naval invade, but there's not much point. The red team's still losing stuff, and the forces down here in the south don't really know they're being invaded in the north because we don't have like telephones or anything like that. They have a massive victory at this lake. However, nobody really lives there apparently. The red team is now, Romans are now going to start bombarding the coast, and by that I mean they kind of just like come around, loot some cities in the Levant, and leave. Not really cannon bombarding because we don't have cannons yet. That's why. And the red team, they're not enjoying that. They try and push back over here near this city, which works to a degree. They could take back the mountainous stuff, but they know that the Caucasians will fall if the red teams are winning. So yeah, that's good. However, the Romans now have naval superiority over this sort of northeastern bit right here, and also going into like Lebanon, Syria area. Well, maybe this northern bit. I don't know, Lebanon. Is that Lebanon? As they start snaking their way along the coast, as this is the main bit that they claim. Going back up north then, well, the Caucasians have given up defending this stuff. The Central Asians are going to clear up this stuff behind them. Don't leave enemies behind your lines. And it takes a while, but there's probably some worth to it. There should be rivers, there should be cities on this other side of the river that just apparently aren't for some reason. Anyway, yeah, Caucasia, you're doing okay, I guess. They do lose this city, however, so that's a shame. Going back to Rome then, I mean this war, I gotta speed it up a bit. Let's just say like it moves forward a few years. Rome is going to take this massive sort of Syrian area and a few cities, and finally another turning point in that Egypt will join the war. Now Egypt, they're not a strong country. They're not. It's a fact. They're really not a strong country. They're weaker than like Bengal and France and all those other guys who are barely in the top 10. The Red Indian country is stronger than them. That aristocratic one in India. They are kind of strong, like they're like mid. The strongest country in Africa, apart from you. So that's interesting. But the red team is now kind of getting divided between countries who have grievances and claims with them. Like they claim this entire sort of like this Egyptian area. The Egyptians want this, surprisingly. Anyway, cool. Syria's been taken by the red team, and the Caucasians are still holding out. They're going to do pretty good encirclement up here, and the red team's annoyed that the Central Asians apparently are rubbish teammates. I don't know. They're just not doing that great. They're pushing over here on the east coast, which isn't really where anything important is economically. Most of their important economic stuff is up here in the northwest as they finally re-establish trade with the Poles, the Northern European Empire. The Central Asians will finally start to pick up steam as the red team sends more supplies, as they're kind of more urgent, although that's going to stop pretty soon. You're fighting a three-front war. You can't really send loads of supplies around. With the introduction of Egypt and a slight distraction, the red team, or Romans, oh man, get it right, will take more of this territory. However, now they're getting a bit close to Baghdad, and the Romans will pull back some troops from other front lines, especially with Caucasia, to launch this pretty massive invasion at them, pushing them back, although it does cost a lot of lives. The red team just wants Caucasia gone now, because they're going to start taking quite a lot of land. They know they can deal with Egypt, and they're still pretty sure they can take out the Romans. The Romans started this war. The red team is pretty nationalistic, and they believe we're better than them because on paper we are. Anyway, this video is already 22 minutes long, so I need to speed this up. Let's introduce two more countries. Country number one is the Polish. Pretty scary for the red team. How the red team and the Caucasians don't have an official alliance. So when the Polish invade, they just invade the Caucasians. But this does start military and just general rivalry between the Polish and the Romans. They're like, hey, you're invading my ally, and you're like, no, I'm invading my ally. As in, like, Crimea used to be allied to the Mesopotamians. Second country we're introducing is another bluish one. It's of course this bluish one right here. The Carthaginians, they're fighting the Mesopotamians now. They're going to do so much better than the Egyptians. They let them have the sort of southern stuff, whilst they invade towards this city along the Nile and get very close to taking the sort of Alexandria, Cairo bit. I don't know, not a whole lot going on down here, but this means the Egyptians can finally take more of this territory. Going back over to the Romans, yeah, they've finally done it. They have really broken the red team. They've got too many fronts to fight, and they're losing land to all these different countries that they don't like. The red team is collapsing, and down here in the south, in the Arabian areas of the nation, they're just going to seriously start suffering rebellions. The Romans are up for a peace treaty now, and to be honest, this war is basically over. So, do you want to look at a peace treaty? Yeah, kinda. The Caucasians still occupied a lot of land at the end of that war, and I think what we need to do first is just look at what the red team gets. So the red team is going to be taking lots of stuff along the Black Sea. They're going to split the Black Sea border at this city around here. So the Caucasians get more of their old claims back. I think they kind of had a bit going out here, although I'm not really sure. As the Romans, they just kind of meander along this sort of line, going through this area. I don't know, Levant territory. I need to zoom in a bit more. My lines aren't being very accurate. I don't like that. They're going to then head down towards the Sinai Peninsula over here, and they basically take control over most of this stuff, although for the blue team, we're going to give them kind of all of this territory. I just destroyed the line for some reason. Am I stupid? There we go. Does that fix your problems? Yes, please. If you take this off, there we go. The blue team. What is that line? What is that border? Hell no. What is that? That is disgusting. Sorry. I really got to fix that. Is that slightly better? Yeah. I hope so. That was terrible. I was really ashamed of that. Alright, so the blue team doesn't gain a whole lot of land, but they don't really do a whole lot of fighting either. I just sidetracked from doing the Romans, which I apparently said I would do, and then just went, nah, let's not do that. So that's great. The red team will retake these two provinces down here. That's it, though. Oh my god, just... How about you actually just do what I ask you to do, please? There you go, you take those two, and the Carthaginians, we take this bit going along into here. Cool. I don't know why that looks so bad. These borders look so wavy, and I don't like it. The red team then, they will take all of this territory. Okay, never mind. Guess they just don't get all that territory. There we go. So they've got actually a cool border, although there's loads of holes in it from places I scrolled down. There we go. Their border looks nice, I think. It looks alright. Very Roman-esque. Going over to the Caucasians then, there's a few clear bits they're going to get. Yeah, it's 27 minutes long. I probably should just skip through the peace treaty. You can do that if you want to. I'd understand. You don't have to, though. I might say something really important. I just kind of doubt it. The Caucasians take lots of the mountainous areas that they wanted very little, but nonetheless they still got. And they also take some territories in Azerbaijan, which are alright, you know. Azerbaijan's cool. Oh, okay. Why does this mapping program hate me? I don't know. Microsoft Paint, why do you hate me? There we go. Anyway, they've gained a few more cities. They look kind of like their old selves. Going back up north, though, they're going to lose a lot of stuff. I just return. Oh, okay. Return them to the old borders, and then just take all the stuff that we're going to take away from them. The Caucasians, or Central Asians, just get it right, man. We'll lose a lot of land. Central Asians take a lot of land from the Caucasians, whilst these Polish guys aren't going to take very much. You know, they take kind of less than they could actually get if they tried. However, they will take stuff along this river because they want stuff along the river. Cool. Yeah, I think that's this war basically over now. We've done the peace treaty. It was a fairly good trade, I say, for the Caucasians. They lost some territory that's valuable to them up there in the north in Ukraine, but they gained some other stuff that was possibly more valuable. The red team, we're going to look at their collapse in the next episode because, yeah, I talked about rebellions in Arabia. It's not going to go well for them. Don't worry. They're not going to have a good time. The Romans have now surpassed the red team as the strongest country in the world, and so the Polish, putting them in the second spot. Yeah, I'll see you again next time. Thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed, and have a nice day. Goodbye.